I'm going to work on the power steering. So you got to take this cover off. There's a little plastic locking screw here, and over here you just turn it to the left. I've already done that. In the back over here, there's grommets that hold it down. So you basically just lift it up like this. It may be kind of hard back here, so you want to lift it up. And I've already done it, but let me just show you. So those grommets I'm talking about are right here. Well, there's no grommets there. They're actually still in the cover. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to take this grommet off, because when you go to put it back on, it's hard to do with one hand. When you go to put the cover back on, you're not going to be able to put the cover back on inside here. So what you want to do is you want to stick this, the little nipple side, down in there, like that. So now when you put the cover on, you're going to be able to just lock it right in there. What I suggest doing is put a little lube on it. You could honestly, you could just probably put a little spit or something on it with your finger. There you go. And then when you put the cover back on, like I said, these will just snap right in there. Okay, now that you got the cover off, let me just point out some areas. I've never done this repair before, but it appears it's going to be very easy. So a lot of people replace this O-ring down under here. There's this hose, and there's one bolt underneath. Probably can't see it. And they replace this. You can see I have some oil around it. I'm gonna replace this O-ring, which is gonna be orange, right there. And then I'm gonna also replace, there's an O-ring underneath this. So I'm gonna, since I'm in here, I might as well just go ahead and do it. I'm working on the 2005 Honda Odyssey. This actually has been upgraded. So if you buy one, make sure you get the one with the white dot on it. Here's the part number. Here's the part number for the orange. It just fell out. That's the one that goes here. Here's the part number. This one is black. The O-ring that goes up here. I did buy a new cap. Cap was like $1. I bought a new cap. A lot of people said that the old cap fits. A lot of people say the old cap doesn't fit. So I'll give it a try. I end up buying a new cap anyway. And then what I'm going to do, the plan is I'm going to stick a small hose in this one. And then pull it, because this is the feed hole. This is the line that goes to the power steering. This is the return. I'm going to disconnect this, put it in another container, start the car up so all the fluid comes out and dumps into the container. That way when I put new fluid in, it's all new. But I'll go ahead and show you that. I'm going to drain it into a canister or something. I just found this in the recycling bin, so I'm going to use that. And we'll see how it goes. And so I have this, and you can see it doesn't fit. So I'm going to just take the hose, stick it in there. And then now, what I have is a big gold syringe. You can stick it in there and draw some of it out. So that's why I'm going to try to put the hose in there and then start it and then let it actually pump out all the extra fluid. I'm going to take this hose off. Easy. since you've already drained this out, you're not going to get anything that comes out here. If you do, it'll be very little. So let's see, will this hose fit in here? Oops, sorry. Oh, good. It's actually going to fit. And then what I'm going to do is just stick it. Now you're going to need an assistant, because when you start this thing, it's going to come pumping out. Take the rag out from the belts. You don't want to start it, have anything inside your belts. So what you got to do is start the car. As you start it, it's going to pump through. It's going to pump through the return and into the container. You want to turn the steering wheel all the way to the right, all the way to the left, until all the fluid is out of the system. Man, well, you can see that wasn't a good idea. Oh crap. Okay, I got a big mess to clean up. As you can see, there's oil everywhere. Okay, so let that be a lesson learned. Do not do what I just did by yourself. You need an assistant to hold that hose inside the other one. Man, okay. So I was going to delete this, but I said, well, no, it's going to be used for learning, so you better learn from my mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to end up spraying all that with contact cleaner. You can see it's dripping all down underneath. Still dripping as we talk. Okay, so I'm going to put some of this oil absorbent stuff / kitty litter, whatever you want to call it, down here, because you can see it made a huge mess. So I think all the oil's out of the power steering pump, I would guess. So if you're like me, you better get a big bag of this stuff. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to use this. I really don't know. I guess you could use the degreaser, but I have pretty good luck with this stuff. Okay, so I cleaned up a lot of the oil up here. I had it all the way up on the windshield and everything. So I sprayed it. A lot looks clean. But down at the bottom, down on the frame, you can actually see some pooling up right there to the left. And some right there. A lot of it's everywhere, and it's hard to reach in there. I've already wasted a can of that spray, basically a can and a half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go with the repair. Once it's all done, then I'm going to I'll just get my pressure washer out and hose some of that water or some of the oil down with the water and just get it kind of cleaned up. But it may be dripping for a little while. Okay, now I'm just going to switch out the reservoir. There's a little tab back here. You may need to kind of pry it a little bit. This one, as you can see, just comes right up. Once you pull it up, you just want to disconnect the clamp down here. Since I know the oil is all empty on this, you can disconnect this. Do not disconnect this if you have oil in here. So once again, when you replace this, make sure you have the one with the white dot. That's the new one. The revised one, put it that way. Now what I like to do is put the clamp back exactly where it was. Yeah, there you go. You see it fits right in there. Okay, so back at the repair. We're going to go down here, stick a rag under here. And the idea of the rag is to capture any other fluid that may drip out. There's a bolt underneath. Kind of hard to see, but it's at the bottom. There, finally. Okay, so there is the O-ring right there. So you want to take that off. Oh man, that just slid right off. No wonder. So what happens is the O-ring ends up leaking, and it sucks air into the system, and that's what causes the whining. And this O-ring is actually pretty hard. Stick the new orange O-ring on here. Make sure it's in the groove. There's a groove that you can put it on. So everyone recommends Honda power steering fluid. So what I'm doing is just getting a little bit on my finger, put on top of the O-ring. The reason you want to do this is just so you don't pinch it and it slides in. A little bit of lube is always good, right? What I usually do is start the bolt a little bit. There. So started the bolt, and you can see the O-ring is still sticking out. So the reason I did that is that way I don't have to worry about losing the bolt, and then now I can push this whole piece in straight, and as I'm tightening the bolt, I make sure that the O-ring stays in there. There we go. All right, we're done with that one. So this is the one with the black O-ring. Pry the O-ring off. That one is not nearly as hard. And then when you put it on, it's easy. You just slide it over. Okay, just put a little bit of power steering fluid on it. Okay, now a couple things. Since I replaced the O-rings, I like to spray off the area. That way you get it nice and clean, but more specifically dry. I'm gonna clean all this up anyway. But that way if you see any kind of moisture, then you know that it's leaking again. Okay, so clean that off. Take the rag out. That's very important. Confirm that this hose is on, confirm that hose is on, make sure that's in there, and then get the power steering fluid. And then you got the upper level and the lower level. Obviously it's gonna be all empty, so you want to fill this in here. And then once I get it, I'm gonna start the car. Oops, man, got an issue with oil today. What is up? I guess you could get a funnel, or if you just pay attention. I don't know how many it's going to take. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and start the car and then fill it up. Also, you're going to want to turn your steering wheel side to side. Got the new one installed. Got the fluid level right. You can hear the sound difference. So now let's go ahead, even though I bought a new one of these, let's go ahead and see if the old one will fit on the new one. A lot of stuff on the internet. People say yes, people say no. Let's try it. Yeah, fits in there, but it's gonna be loose. So I suggest you buy a new one. There we go. Now I'm gonna test ride it, bring it back. I'm gonna wash it. Remember, kids, don't do what I did.